Every introverted student faces these 12 problems, which I'll tell you about in this video. Let's see how many you can relate to. Number 12. Ever felt like your heart is about to jump out of your chest when the teacher asks a question? You know the answer, but the thought of all eyes turning to you makes you freeze. A simple way to overcome this is to start by answering questions that require short responses or participating in smaller group discussions where the pressure is less. You can also practice at home by speaking out loud to get more comfortable with your voice in a public setting. Number 11. During group projects, the thought of collaborating with a bunch of people who are louder and more outspoken than you can feel like a nightmare. You might end up staying quiet, even when you have great ideas, because you don't want to deal with the pressure of being in the spotlight. But instead of trying to compete with the louder voices, you can take on a role that lets you work behind the scenes, like research, organization, or even creating visuals. And don't be afraid to suggest dividing tasks early on, so you don't get stuck doing things that drain your energy. Number 10. You know that feeling when you need to ask the teacher something, but your mind starts racing with all the ways it could go wrong. What if they think your question is dumb? What if they don't even remember who you are? It's easy to feel like it's better to just stay quiet and figure things out on your own, but this can leave you missing out on the help and support you actually need. To tackle this, start small by asking something quick after class when there's less pressure. The more you do it, the more you'll realize that teachers actually appreciate students who take the initiative, even if it's just a tiny step. Number 9. For an introvert, school can sometimes feel like one big social event that never ends. Between classes, lunch, and extracurricular activities, it's like there's no escape from the constant buzz of people. And when you're exhausted from all the social interaction, it's hard to focus on your homework once you get home. So how do you manage? First, find quiet spots where you can recharge during breaks or limit the time you spend in large groups. And don't feel bad about saying no to social events if you need to. It's better to protect your energy than to overburden yourself. Now, being an introverted student myself throughout my school life, I can tell you that the next problem I'm about to share was the toughest for me. But before I reveal it, hit that like button. It really boosts my motivation to keep making great content for you. Number 8. Be honest. How many of you have had to give a presentation and thought, why do I have to do this? Can't I just write a paper instead? Standing in front of the whole class with all eyes on you can be nerve-wracking. Your mind might race, and you may worry about stumbling over your words or forgetting what to say. But to face this fear, I started by rehearsing my presentation in front of a small, trusted group like my family or close friends. This really helped me because the more familiar you are with the material, the more confident you'll feel. Also, focus on controlling your breathing. Deep, slow breaths can help calm those nerves before you start speaking. Number 7. Have you ever felt your palms sweating and your mind going blank the moment you have to speak during an oral exam? Unlike written exams, where you can think quietly and take your time, oral exams require quick responses, all while the examiner eyes are on you. It can feel like the words are stuck, even though you know the answers. To make it a bit easier, practice speaking your answers out loud beforehand, either in front of a mirror or with a friend. This way, you get used to hearing your own voice and organizing your thoughts under pressure. Number 6. Being introverted can sometimes make you feel isolated from your classmates. While others are forming friendships and socializing, you might find yourself on the sidelines, feeling like you don't quite fit in. This can be especially tough during group activities or social events, where you might feel left out. But just because you're not the loudest person in the room doesn't mean you can't make meaningful connections. Sometimes, all it takes is finding that one person who shares your interests to feel more connected. And don't be too hard on yourself if it takes time to build those connections. It's okay to move at your own pace. Number 5. If you're an introvert, you might find yourself overthinking assignments. Instead of getting things done, you might spend a lot of time worrying about getting everything perfect. You might ask yourself, is this really what the teacher wants? Or, what if I don't do well? This overthinking can lead to procrastination or unnecessary stress. To combat this, break down the assignment into smaller, manageable tasks. Setting deadlines for each section can also help keep you on track. And remember, getting something down on paper is better than staring at a blank page. By the way, if you're finding this helpful, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and tap the bell icon so you won't miss out on any of the good stuff we've got coming up. Number 4. Handling criticism can be particularly tough when you're introverted. Even well-meaning feedback can feel personal, and it might take you some time to process it. You might replay the criticism over and over in your head, wondering what you did wrong and how others perceive you. This can make it hard to move forward or learn from the experience. But instead of letting it weigh you down, focus on the constructive parts. What can you improve on? And how can you use this information to get better? Number 3, networking can feel like a big challenge for introverted students. Whether it's at school events, career fairs, or even just making connections with classmates, the idea of putting yourself out there might feel exhausting and intimidating. You might worry about what to say or how to keep the conversation going. Start by focusing on building relationships one-on-one, without the pressure of being judged by a large group. Number 2, have you ever been misunderstood as unfriendly or aloof at some point? You might prefer keeping to yourself or staying quiet in social settings, but others can misinterpret this as being cold or disinterested. This can make it harder to form connections and might leave you feeling isolated. To counter this, try to make small gestures that show you're approachable, like smiling or nodding during conversations. You don't need to be the most talkative person in the room, but showing that you're engaged can help others understand your personality better. Number 1, time management can be tricky for introverted students, especially when balancing schoolwork, social obligations, and personal downtime. You might find yourself needing more alone time to recharge, but that can sometimes lead to procrastination or feeling stressed by tasks piling up. And to save you from falling into the procrastination trap, I've shared some super easy tricks in this video.